Leave a like in the video. I'm not really going to give you anything, but you should still do it, so leave a like. What's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new story, and today we have a perfect karma story. A perfect story of a spoiled kid getting owned by his teacher. It's one of those just really satisfying stories that'll leave you feeling like all is right in the world, man, after you're done watching it. So sit back, relax, subscribe if you're new, and let's just jump into the story. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted the story Sultan. That'll be the name we'll be using, and yeah, let's do it. Anyways, so there's a kid in Sultan's class who we're simply going to call the spoiled kid. And this kid was not only a kid who had access to a lot of money, which, I mean, he did, but just because you have access to a lot of money doesn't necessarily mean that you're like an entitled brat or a spoiled kid or anything like that. You could be genuinely a good person and just happen to have access to a lot of money. You can also be a poor, bad person. Like, you can be either or. However, way too often when a kid has access to too much money and knows other people don't, he kind of feels this sense of entitlement, or she feels this sense of entitlement of like, I earned this, even though, you know, as you get older, hopefully you learn that you didn't. So this spoiled kid was one of those kids who would wipe his butt with a $100 bill if he was given the opportunity, and then brag to everyone about how he wiped his butt with a $100 bill. Like, he was that type of spoiled kid. And he was also just a jerk to everyone. He was very entitled. He was very like, I deserve everything because I exist, therefore, like, I should have. And like, if I don't get what I want, then like something is wrong in the world. One of those types of kids. So anyways, just like starting off this story, we're starting it off with a bang because it is show and tell. And I don't know if you guys had show and tell. I had it like very briefly in 3rd grade. Some kids had it like every single year through even high school, which is pretty crazy. But these kids were in 6th grade and they still had show and tell. I think the teacher just was like, I don't know what else to do. It's like, I see all my other teachers doing it, even though the teachers were like 2nd grade teachers or whatever. So the kids were a little weirded out by it, but they're like, whatever, we'll do show and tell. And we're starting off with the spoiled kid who walks up to the front of the class to show off his item for show and tell. And like, for example, Sultan brought in one of his like, I don't know, one of his old, like, 1980s vintage, like, Superman comics or something. That was one of the things he was super interested in. One kid brought in, like, a football because, like, he was a big football guy, and he was like, I don't really know what else to bring in. Like, it really was this, you brought in something kind of interesting, but you didn't do what the spoiled kid was about to do. So the spoiled kid comes into class, and he walks up to the front, and he takes a box. He has this like box in his hand, and it's kind of like a smaller box. It's like a square shaped box, so it's not a rectangular shoe box. It's a square shaped box. He opens it up, and inside is this shiny watch. It seems to be like one of those silver plated watches, but it definitely looks very expensive. However, you could have just left it at that. Like, the thing that makes it like, maybe, here's the thing, if you had a really expensive watch, maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to bring it in and show it off for show and tell. However, the spoiled kid goes too far. Because when the spoiled kid's up there, he's like, hey guys, like, for my item of show and tell, I wanted to show you off this watch. I got this watch for my 13th birthday, which, bro, for my 13th birthday, I got a Star Wars action figure, which was fire, by the way. I was so happy. But this kid's like, yeah, in this watch, I want to play a little game with the class. And everyone in the class, including Sultan, were kind of looking at each other like, what does he mean he wants to play a game with the class? Like, what does he even mean by that, bro? Like, lol, okay, what? And he goes on to be like, yeah, so I'm going to take guesses. We're going to play higher or lower. We're going to play higher and lower, guessing how much this watch costs. Which, first of all, like, dude, if you're going to say it, just spit it out. Like, you don't have to drag this out. But also, if you're bringing in something and the whole point of the item is that it costs you a lot of money, like, that's like the lamest form of flexing I've ever seen. Like, I don't know, like, like, even just wearing it, like, leave it, like, everyone knows that this watch is probably expensive. They all know that you're the spoiled kid who gets whatever he wants. And yeah, the watch is probably expensive, man. So, I don't know, like, you just don't have to say it. But eventually, like, no one is raising their hands because no one wants to be like, oh, is it $5,000 just to boost the kid's ego? And he's like, no, more, haha, whatever. No one wants to boost this kid's ego because it's already boosted up to the moon and beyond. So eventually the spoiled kid's like, no guessers? You guys are completely like lost or whatever? He like mutters under his breath, figures. And he's like, well, let me just say that if you're going to guess anything under $1,000, you're wrong. Just pure silence. It was super cringe and uncomfortable because like, I know that this kid thought he was like the most, the coolest, Like, wow, this kid is so awesome. I wish I was like him. However, literally no one felt that way after hearing this. They just thought that he was like an entitled kid slash spoiled brat. And yeah, so he goes on to say, well, teacher, do you have any guesses? And the teacher can't just be like, isn't like kicking him off, but obviously isn't super happy with the way this is going. So he's like, no, I don't actually. And the spoiled kid's like, fine, I'll tell you, $10,000. And everyone kind of just looks at him. Obviously, that's a ton of money, and especially for a watch, that's a lot of money. But, you know, everyone's kind of just looking at him like, okay, dude, like, do you want a prize? Do you want an award for that? Do you want an award that someone bought you a $10,000 watch? Like, you're not getting my admiration or respect. So do you want, like, I don't know, do you want a trophy that says biggest flexer in the school or something? Yeah, so the kid just, like, is like, yep, and that's all I want to say. And he sits down, and yeah, that's just, like, that to start off the story with something like that just shows you a little glimpse of what this kid is like. But when he sits down, he doesn't sit back in the spot he was normally sitting. He sits next to this girl. This girl we're going to call Kate, because I call, like, a third of the girls in my stories Kate, because it's easier for me to remember, because name of my friend back home. Anyways, so Sultan happened to have a crush on this girl, right? And he saw that, like, the spoiled kid, instead of sitting back in the seat he was just in, sat next to Kate instead. And he was talking up Kate, and, you know, to give credit where credit is due, the spoiled kid was low-key pretty good at flirting. He was actually cool with it. He was good with it. And I hate to give him credit because, like, no one wants to give the spoiled entitled kid credit, but I gotta be fair in these videos. Dude was definitely running it up. And Sultan saw this, right? Sultan said in the because, by the way, the story was submitted to me via Instagram. Follow me and then DM me your own stories if you'd like. Sultan admitted to me that he was getting a little jealous. So the spoiled kid is, like, talking this girl up. And I think that, like, Kate was, like, pretty embarrassed for him after the whole, I have an expensive watch. But the thing is, this guy was just being so, I don't know, like, he just had game that was unmatched. And I think she kind of just started to willingly forget what the spoiled kid just did. I think she was like, yeah, this kid isn't too bad looking, and also he's pretty smooth with it, so I'm just gonna forget the fact that he went up there flexing that someone bought him a $10,000 watch and kind of, like, drew the whole thing out, like, as long as possible to get the most attention, as well as the focus of the presentation was that the watch was expensive. I'm just gonna forget all about that. So yeah, Sultan had to watch for the next 20 minutes, and because, by the way, other people were going up there, showing off whatever they had, and everyone else's presentations for show and tell were pretty normal. Like, they were pretty normal people presentations or whatever. However, the spoiled, and yeah, no one was showing off, oh, here's a $1,000 gold brick I wiped my butt with. But yeah, the thing is, the spoiled kid wasn't showing any attention to these kids' presentations. He was just whispering / whisper flirting with the girl next to him, which was Kate. Unfortunately, this was Sultan's crush, so the next 20 minutes were super infuriating. Not just because some random guy was flirting with Sultan's crush, which it's always tough. Dude, I've been in that situation a lot, where you see someone else and you know that they're doing a good job, and they're basically just saying, like, hey, man, that's tough for you, but this girl's mine, man. I've been in that situation. It's unfortunate, but it's even worse when that person is the worst. Like, at least if it's a good guy, you're like, dang, I lost out. Like, I'm taking the L, but at least she's taking a W. The thing is, though, Sultan knows that this guy's the worst. So yeah, this was, like, the most excruciating 20 minutes of Sultan's life. However, things turn around for Sultan because, you know, he's talking with his friends, and his friends all know that, like, he has, like, a thing for Kate or whatever. And they're all, like, at the lunch table every day. They're like, did you talk to her, bro? Did you talk to her? Most of the days would be no, and they'd be like, dude, come on. But one of the days, he'd be like, yeah, like, we had a little conversation. They'd be like, let's go, let's freaking go. And they'd all, like, stand up in the lunch table and go, like, bum, 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 but, like, bang their table. It was cool. It was a fun time. But they also all knew about it. So when Sultan was explaining what happened, the guys were like, dang, bro, like, that's mad tough. Like, I hate to see that, like, especially with that kid. Because, like, this, even though those guys weren't in the class with Sultan, they just knew that that kid was the worst, just in general. However, when the kids was like, you know, actually, he's like, wait, I think I have something to say. And he said that, like, word was getting around, like, that everybody, after, like, some girl in the class saw that, like, Kate was talking with the spoiled kid, apparently, like, every single girl and, like, half the guys in the entire grade went up to Kate because like word gets out really quickly. They go to a pretty small school and also middle school. If a guy talks to a girl or vice versa, then oh my God, they're dating, bro. Like that was a big deal back in the day, which is kind of crazy to look back on. And I'm like, dang, that's actually how it was back then. But anyways, word got out pretty quickly, and like literally everybody went up to Kate and they were like, dude, this kid's the worst. Don't give him the time of day. I know he's smooth with it, but trust me, he's terrible. And the nail in the coffin for the spoiled kid is when his ex-girlfriend, sure, they're like in 6th grade, so oh my God, 5th grade girlfriend, that's so serious. But anyways, when his ex-girlfriend goes up to Kate and is like, look, I know you might be thinking I'm just saying this because I want to get back with him, but I guarantee you I will never even talk to that kid again. And she goes on to list all the reasons why their relationship failed and why it was a terrible experience and why she shouldn't be anywhere near that kid because he's like the worst, most entitled, spoiled kid like ever. Yeah, so eventually Kate, just like the next day, Sultan goes into class and the spoiled kid sits right next down to Kate. And before, like, even though the spoiled kid was very, like, smooth with it and he had a lot of game or whatever, at this point, like, you know, Kate, like, the day before, Kate was at least responding with, like, complete sentences. She was, like, responding like a normal person. But today, for some reason, the spoiled kid was very confused because today she came in and she didn't say anything, dude. Like, she would be like, yep, okay, haha, whatever. Or just flat out ignore stuff sometimes. Like if the spoiled kid made like a joke under his breath, even if that joke was funny, like the day before she would laugh at everything. She'd even like overemphasize like how funny she thought it was, right? But today, she made it look like every joke bombed, bro. She made it look like this kid had a Netflix special that got 1 star or something, dude. But the spoiled kid was just really confused. However, the spoiled kid apparently really liked Kate. And this was not good for Kate. Because the spoiled kid would start to get a little bit desperate in his attempts. And by a little bit desperate, I mean you are about to see the most uncomfortable and cringe thing I've probably ever... okay, maybe not ever told on the channel. I've told a lot of stories that are pretty cringe, which if you guys are bored, feel free to check out the playlist of my stories linked in the pinned comment after this one. But yeah, you're about to hear one of the most uncomfortable things I've told on the story in a second, on the channel in a second, told on the story. Guys, I can't even speak English properly. I gotta take some more English classes. But yeah, the spoiled kid gets a little bit desperate for Kate's attention. Let's just put it like that. He gets a little bit desperate. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment spoiled down below. That'll be the secret keyword of the day. If you want to farm some hearts on the channel, I will try and heart a bunch of comments to say the secret word down below. And also, if you do want to support the channel, I mentioned this a second ago, but there is a playlist in the pinned comment down below. If you put that playlist on, it's all my old stories. If you put that playlist on while you're doing something like, I don't know, cleaning your room, playing video games, drawing, trying to go to sleep, whatever, right? It actually really does support the channel because watch time's really good. And please let me know in the comment section what you were doing while watching my videos. I read the comments all the time, and I'm genuinely so interested to hear what you guys are doing. And also, I try and hard and respond to those comments because it's my way of saying thank you for supporting the channel by watching the videos while doing other stuff. Let's get back to the story as the spoiled kid is about to do something pretty mega cringe. So let's get into it. Yeah. So a couple days later, and this is a couple days of, you know, the spoiled kid failing to flirt with Kate. And at this point, every single day, Sultan, while he's not, he's not making his moves with Kate, so he can't really be too happy about it. However, he's sitting back, and he's watching the spoiled kid basically flailing his arms around in a sense, by the way that he's just like trying to talk to her and it's not working. But on Friday, they were supposed to do presentations on countries, because this was like, I don't know, a geography class. I think the last time I had a quote-unquote geography class was like legitimately in 6th grade. I haven't had geography class since 6th grade. But anyways, since they're in a geography class, they were each given a country to do a presentation on. It wasn't that deep. Like, this wasn't worth like 100,000% of their grade, and if they even like coughed in the wrong time, they would fail immediately and be kicked out of school and then have to literally live on the streets from that point on. It wasn't that deep. However, it still was a presentation that was worth like what a quiz would be worth, and you had to do it in front of the entire class. I guess, though, the spoiled kid decided that, you know, he was just going to take a 0 on this presentation because he decided that this presentation was a perfect opportunity to basically try and win Kate back, quote unquote, right? So he decided to do something very cringe and very uncomfortable because Sultan goes up there and he has a presentation on, I don't know, man, Libya, right? And he goes like, oh, the GDP of Libya is whatever. Here are some cultural things I found interesting. Here's like the history of it. Here's the current president, whatever, right? And he goes down and everyone's doing the exact same thing. And that's when the spoiled kid goes up there. And Sultan low-key thinks that in the presentation, the spoiled kid's gonna like accidentally include an image of the spoiled kid sitting on his bed covered in a pile of money and be like, oops, how did that get there? Right? But Sultan has no idea, is not prepared for what is about to come, right? He is simply not prepared for what is about to follow. So the spoiled kid goes up there and he starts the presentation. And immediately, everyone realizes that this will not be a normal presentation, and this will not be a normal day in geography class. Because the presentation starts not with a photo of a country, not with the name of the country. He was supposed to do Argentina, not with the name Argentina or a photo of Argentina or anything like that, or not even a blank like slide. Like, it's not like he messed up and he added a blank slide. On there says, reasons to date spoiled kid. And by the way, whenever I say spoiled kid, fill in a name in your head. It's just easier for me to say spoiled kid. Yeah, so anyways, he's like, reasons to date spoiled kid. Yeah, the presentation literally says reasons to date spoiled kid. So everyone in the class starts like mumbling to each other. Some people are very shocked. And the teacher... Dude, I don't know why in all these situations the teachers always just let these things run on, but the teacher must have like not been paying attention, been spacing out because all the presentations were low-key kind of boring. I mean, it's just like the GDP of Japan is 100, like boo, boring, I don't care. And I think the teacher was spacing out because he was not paying, he did not stop this, right? And he's like, reasons to date spoiled kid. And goes to the next slide. It is literally a stock image of dollar bills, bro. It's a stack of money. And it says under there, you will be financially supported. Literally saying, I will be your sugar daddy, bro. That's legit what this kid was saying. And he was like, he says, all right, so as you can see in the first slide, and I think this kid was being very careful not to expose himself right away, because the teacher would have heard if he's like, reasons to date me. Number one, I'm rich. But he's like, everyone, so as you can see in the first slide, this is true. And everyone's like, bro, what? And Sultan's like, hey, yo, bro, like, what is going on right now? Like, this is legit crazy. Yeah, and then he goes to the next slide. And it literally says, super... Bro, it says super handsome. He announces himself as his reason number 2 is that he is self-proclaimed super handsome. And it's a photo of like, okay, I wish he put a photo of handsome Squidward in there, but it was just a photo of himself. I think it would be much funnier if he put a photo of handsome Squidward. That would be much funnier in my opinion. But yeah, it is. It's a photo of himself, and number 2 says like super handsome. And Sultan looks over, and Kate looks appalled, bro. Like I think Kate was like kind of just taking everyone else's word before when they're like, you can't date this guy, he's the worst. I think she was kind of a little disappointed, but like trusted, especially when, you know, his ex-girlfriend came up and said, yeah, this guy's the worst, that she's like, all right, fine. I think like she just had a look of like, oh. So this is why he sucks. Okay. Okay, that makes sense, actually. This right here, this makes sense. Okay. Cool. Yeah, and then he goes on to the next slide, and it's like, we'll pick you up in Fat Whip. And it's a photo of like, it's like a photo of like his dad's car or whatever. It's like one of those like nicer cars. Like, I don't know if it's a full on like Ferrari $3 million crazy car or something like that. But it's like one of those Porsche Mercedes type. It's like one of those cars that could run up for a lot of money, which is kind of dumb at a certain point. Like, if you like nice cars, you like nice cars. But dude, I kind of feel like at a certain point, you're just burning your cash. But whatever, right? He's like, we'll pick you up in nice whip or whatever. And then the next slide is the worst one. Because the next slide, he's no longer talking about himself. No. He is no longer talking about himself. He now says, so, ... And everyone's like, where is this going? It's like dot, dot, dot. And this is when the teacher starts to pay attention. And he's kind of like, what? Like, what is this presentation? Because he must have been spacing out for the, I'm so rich, I'm so handsome, and I have a nice car part of the presentation. Because he definitely would have stepped in and been like, hey, bro, this doesn't look like Argentina at all. But it just says so dot, dot, dot. Kind of like the next thing is going to be crazy. So the teacher's like, is it like a GDP reveal? Is it a commentary on the internal conflicts in the southern region of the whatever, right? It's like, I don't know what this reveal is going to be. And we click to the next slide. It is the worst thing ever. Because it says, like, Kate, these reasons are great. You should go on a date with me. It's fate. It's like a poem, bro. He asked Kate out via poem. It's great, right? So everyone in class is like, lol. Everyone bursts out laughing. Like, it is not the reaction I bet that the spoiled kid thought. I bet when the spoiled kid was typing this up, in his mind, he was expecting everyone to be like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. You are so rich, handsome, and have an awesome car and a nice watch and are just so hot. So, of course, Kate would want to go out with you, dude. Oh my God. It was like, I wonder who this guy wants to go out with. He wants to go out with Kate. I'm so jealous. No. And then all the guys would be like, oh my God, how could Kate say no? He's so rich, handsome, and awesome. Oh my God. Yeah, let's just say that how it turned out was a little bit different. Everyone was just freaking out. Like, kids were getting out of their seats and running around with, like, you know, the hands on their head. You know that gif of, like, the guy who, like, leans back after roasting someone and all the people freak out around them? Just imagine but with the class. Like, even Sultan stood up out of his seat, put his hands on his head, is like, oh my God, starts walking back. He's a friend of the back of the room who just, like, falls out of his chair laughing. Everyone's like, what the frick, bro? Like, what is this dude doing, dude? And at this point, the teacher's like, spoiled kid, like, this has nothing to do with Argentina. And some people in the class are probably thinking, dude, you just caught on that this doesn't have to do anything with Argentina? Did you not realize that the first 3 slides were like, I'm rich, I'm handsome, and I have the coolest car ever? Because, yeah, that totally has to do something with Argentina, bro. But everyone's freaking out. You know, Sultan's on the floor laughing. He's slamming his hand against the desk, like, oh my God, bro. Like, this is... And at this point, like, Kate is just, like, looking at the ground. She's like, I'm not here. This is not happening. Why me? Like, I shouldn't have even talked to this kid. It makes total sense why everyone was like, stay away. This kid's a freak. He's the worst. It makes sense now. I should have listened earlier. All that stuff like that. At this point, the teacher realizes what's going on. And he's like, spoiled kid, this has nothing to do with, I don't know, like the presentation. Like, this is a distraction to the class. Like, you're distracting everyone. And you're, like, making weird comments about classmates in regards to the weird poem on stage or on the screen saying, like, oh, can you go out with me, Kate? It's our fate, bro. Like, first of all, he should have been expelled for cringe, but I don't think that's actually a thing you can get expelled for. But if it is, or if it was, he definitely would have been. So you might be thinking that this is, like, the end of the story and that it doesn't get crazier. And you might be thinking, Connor, why did you title this like teacher rages or exposes or embarrasses or whatever, spoiled kid? Let me just say that this isn't the end for the teacher ranting on the spoiled kid. The teacher very soon is about to do a massive dunk on the spoiled kid in front of everyone. Probably something that he's been wanting to do for a while, but has been held back, right? So yeah, the spoiled kid is sent to the front office. He gets yelled at. He gets a 0 on the presentation, whatever. Other than that, he doesn't get much more of a punishment. So the spoiled kid, give this a couple days, right? He's no longer sitting next to Kate because he kind of realizes at this point, he kind of did the Hail Mary, which wasn't even a Hail Mary because those at least have a chance, even if it's unlikely. He did the good old shotgun to the face maneuver, which doesn't really work that well in battle. It doesn't really destroy the opponents that well. It's a little detrimental to yourself, I've heard. But yeah, this is when he learns the truth, according to him, right? So word gets out because, like, Sultan's sitting at the table and one of his boys comes up and is like, dude, the spoiled kid is super mad at everyone. And, Sultan's like, why? Is he mad because we didn't bow down to him when he showed off his, like, $2 billion house or something? And he's like, no, apparently the spoiled kid was, like, told that, like, everybody went up to Kate and told her that they shouldn't mess with him, right? And he's super mad and is, like, planning to, like, get his revenge or something. So Sultan's like, what? Like, what does that even mean? And he's like, I don't know. Apparently he's going to, like, expose everyone or something. So Sultan's like, okay, that's pretty weird. Like, first of all, does this kid actually think that us saying, hey, man, be careful is really what made Kate not want to get with him at the end of the day? Like, does he not believe that his presentation saying that he's super rich, handsome, awesome, and drives fast cars and Kate should go out with him, which he delivered via a poem, do you really think that that didn't have any effect on the fact that him and Kate aren't currently dating at this very second in this universe, in this timeline? Like, do you really think that that is, like, the reason why? Do you think that that has any effect? And no. No effect at all. In fact, that probably helped his chances. But the fact that Sultan said bad words about him means that he doesn't have a chance with her anymore. Or at least that was the logic. However, the spoiled kid didn't think that one person, like, he didn't think Sultan or one of Sultan's friends individually said, like, told Kate not to get with them. The spoiled kid thinks that literally everyone in his class is, like, against him, so he's going to expose, quote-unquote, everybody, which is just kind of ridiculous. But Sultan is kind of excited to see it, because he's like, all right, bet, let's see it. So after class, or the next day comes around, and Sultan walks into class. And he sits down, and the spoiled kid's late, so he's like, oh, maybe spoiled kid's skipping class, because he can't handle the fact that Kate's in here, and he couldn't secure the bag. But no, the spoiled kid walks in 2 minutes late to class, and the geography teacher's like, spoiled kid, like, you can't be late to class like this, like, go sit down, like, it's a distraction when you're late. And the spoiled kid says, no, today I need your attention. He stands up in front of the class, and the geography teacher's like, what? He's like, no, you're sitting down, and the spoiled kid's like, silence! And the geography teacher literally goes silent from shock, because he would have never expected one of his students to yell silence at him. Like, that's the most ridiculous thing he's ever heard. But the spoiled kid goes on to say, it is all your fault. It is your fault. Sounding like Nico Cotto Avocado for a second. He's like, it's your fault, and points to everyone. You guys were bad-mouthing me to Kate, saying that I'm not a good guy, when all I am is very good, handsome, and rich. The reason why that this girl, points to Kate, embarrassing her again, which, bro, that's not chill. Not chill at all. But he's like, the reason why she won't go out with me is because you guys tricked her into thinking that I'm the worst. Everyone's kind of looking at each other. Sultan is, like, trying to hold back his laughter, because he's like, bro's digging his own grave. That's crazy. But yeah, he's like, you guys are the reason why she doesn't like me. You guys are the reason why we aren't dating right now. And Kate's, like, literally has her head in her arms. Like, can this kid stop, bro? He's embarrassing not just me, which he is embarrassing me. He's also playing himself with this whole thing, dude. Like, he's got to stop. Someone's got to stop this kid. But, yeah, no, and he keeps on going on to be like, yeah, and the reason why she doesn't like me is you guys. You all told her I suck when I don't. And, bro, that's when the history teacher comes in and drops a nuclear bomb. Nuclear bomb. Sorry, I pronounced it wrong. Not nuclear, it's nuclear. My grandmother loves telling me, like, nope, wrong, because I'm always like, nuclear. She's like, nuclear, which I might as well pronounce it correctly. But he goes on, drops a bomb. He stands up, and he's like, that's not why she said no, spoiled kid. And the spoiled kid turns around to look at the teacher. It's almost as if in one of those action movies where, like, the bad guy thinks that, like, he's, like, shot down or killed, like, the good guy or whatever, and then the good guy gets back up with, like, a massive machine gun and is like, oh, like you thought, like, you killed me or whatever, and then he comes back. Kind of like the same energy. Everyone in the class was low-key stunned because they were not expecting the teacher to come with such fire. The teacher goes on to say, the reason why that she's rejecting you is because you're an entitled, spoiled brat who thinks that just because, like, that he can get anything that he wants and he can be a jerk and disrespect anyone. The whole class goes silent, but this isn't your typical silence. This is your, damn, someone just got roasted silence. And just, like, everyone's attention, every ounce of their attention was on this teacher. Because this teacher was just going in, bro. He was going in. He's like, every day you come in with some kind of entitled arrogance. When we had show and tell, you didn't bring something that you cared about. You brought something that was expensive just because it was expensive. When you went up there to do your presentation, when you went up there to do your presentation, and you didn't even do the subject matter that we're covering, you just covered yourself because you wanted to ask a girl out. And what was the qualities that you portrayed up there? You didn't say that you were kind, funny, or smart. You said that you were rich and handsome. Which the first thing is because you're a father and mother, and the second thing is questionable. Boom! God damn! I'm gonna have to pull the fire alarm in here, bro, because that was too fire. That's too toasted, dude. I'm gonna catch on fire just being in proximity to these burns. But yeah, a spoiled kid literally looks so destroyed. And the teacher ends it off by saying, might as well sit down now and cut your losses. And instead of trying to fight back, the spoiled kid at this point knew that, yeah, man, he might as well sit down and just try and cut his losses, because he was not going to be able to recover from this one. So as soon as class got out, word spread of this like wildfire. Spread like fire, even hotter than the burns that were given to the spoiled kid, right? Sultan rushes to his lunch table with his friend, and they're all just screaming about it. The whole lunchroom is abuzz like this. And if you don't want this to happen to you, leave a like. I'm just kidding. No, you should leave a like. But if you don't want this to happen to you, just be a good person who doesn't let things like money, or maybe if you're just a good-looking kid or whatever, you just got good genetics, you rolled well, or if you got money, or if you're really smart, or if you're the star lacrosse, hockey, football, whatever player, if you don't let this stuff go to your head and you're a genuine good person, then this stuff will never happen to you. And that's the moral of today's story.